Yo, what's going on? And welcome back to some Duel Links as we are getting back to our road from Rookie to KOG. We took a quick break to take part of the KC Cup, and now we are coming back. We're currently in Gold 1, and we are looking at this very interesting deck that more recently became popular, which is possibly the most degenerate deck I have ever seen in my entire life. And it is a Turbo Cavalry deck. Now you can see this card up here, Mr. Dark Cavalry. What we're doing with this deck is we're summoning him, and we're summoning him very consistently almost every duel. And we're using a deck that does not look like it should be able to summon him, but it can. Now we're going to go ahead and look at our ability first. We'll start with the ability. I recently got My Monster cards. If you don't know what My Monster Cards does, if you have 6 or more level 4 or lower monsters with different names, you have better chances of having a level 4 monster in your starting hand. So if we meet those requirements, the first 3 cards of our hand are guaranteed to be level 4 or lower monsters. And then after that, the 4th card and the 5th card, if we're going second, can be whatever. So we have 6 different level 4 monsters. First of all, we have Alistair the Invoker. He just works well with fusion monsters because you can discard him from your hand to increase the attack and defense of any fusion monster. And we also use him with Invocation because he can search for it. Next, we have King of the Swamp. I just happen to have this card. It's pretty useful, but you don't necessarily need it. But what he does is he is a fusion substitute. So we can substitute him for one of the things that it says we need. So like Dark Cavalry here, it says we need Dark Magician. So he's Dark Magician. His name is Dark Magician. Don't worry about it. And the other thing that he can do is you can discard him to add 1 Polymerization. So essentially in our opening hand, we're going to be looking for 3 of our monsters and a Polymerization. It's very important. So he's one of our ways to make sure we get a Polymerization. Another one of our ways is Elemental Hero Blazeman. If we summon him, then we get to add a Polymerization to our hand. We have 3 of him because he's the most important. This guy's also pretty important, but I only have 1 of him. You could maybe run 2 or 3 of this guy as well. But Blazeman is our warrior. Dark Cavalry requires 1 warrior, so when we're using a fusion substitute here, the other fusion materials have to be correct. So if we're using him as Dark Magician, then the warrior monster needs to be a real warrior monster. We can't use another fusion substitute. So we're using Blazeman. He is our warrior monster, and he can search Polymerization. We have another fusion substitute, the Dark Hex Sealed Fusion. It doesn't really matter. All of the Hex Sealed Fusions, you can use them. This one specifically, he can be used if he's summoned. You contribute fusion materials to summon a dark fusion monster. A lot of our fusion monsters are dark, so this guy kind of makes the most sense, but you can use whatever you have of them. Another fusion substitute that we have is Beast King of the Swamps. He is water. I kind of like having as many waters as we can. We got King of the Swamp and we got Beast King of the Swamps because that's going to allow us to summon Cocytus, because we need, if we're not using Alistair and we're instead using a fusion substitute, we're going to need 1 water monster. So having a few water monsters is going to be a good choice. And then finally we have Goddess with the 3rd eye, another just fusion substitute. Another one down here is Versago the Destroyer. The only reason I went with Goddess with the 3rd eye is because she has 100 more attack and defense than Versago the Destroyer. It literally doesn't matter which one you use, but might as well just use the one with more attack, right? And then we have Invocation. I only have 2 Invocation. I don't see any reason to play more, but I guess you could. If you're playing more Alistairs, it might be more relevant. This card is just going to let you fusion summon. But then also, if you're fusion summoning an invoked monster, which we have a few invoked monsters down here, then we can use our field or our graveyard and we can banish those. but generally we can use it from the hand just like we can use Polymerization. So if we can't search a Polymerization with one of these two, we can search an Invocation with Alistair. Now moving on, we have a lot of just cards designed to be used and sit in our hand, do whatever. We have Forbidden Lance, which is going to protect one of our cards from spell or trap effects, but it's going to lower their attack by 800. Cosmic Cyclone, just to pop their stuff, put it in the graveyard. We kind of want things in the graveyard because Dark Cavalry's attack, we want spell and traps in the graveyard because Dark Cavalry's attack will go up by 100 for each one. We also have Concentrating Current. We get to target one monster we control. It gains attack equal to its defense. So if we look at Dark Cavalry here, he's got 2800 attack and 2300 defense, and he inflicts piercing damage. So if he attacks a defense position monster, he's going to deal damage through it. So Concentrating Current is going to allow us to all of a sudden kill someone that wasn't expecting to actually die, because that's going to give us 5100 attack plus whatever attack we have from spells and traps in the graveyard. Could very well be lethal against a small monster. Polymerization, obviously, we're just running 2 of them because we can search them, so you don't really need more. Fiendish Chain, I just have one Fiendish Chain. Might as well run it. It's a good defensive card. Floodgate, good defensive card. You could run Canadia, you could run whatever you want. I got some Wall of Disruptions over here because if we run into other cavalries, we need something to deal with them. Wall of Disruption does a good job at dealing with cavalry because cavalry's other effect is when a card or effect is activated that targets a card on the field, you can discard one card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Wall of Disruption does not target, but something like Fiendish Chain does, Concentrating Current does, a lot of things here target. So if we run into someone else using Dark Cavalry, we want to be able to stop them, so I'm running some Wall of Disruptions. We also have Fusion Reserve, which is going to allow us to reveal one of our extra deck monsters and then add 1 fusion material listed on it and 1 Polymerization from our graveyard back to our hand. So this just allows us to keep playing if everything goes wrong. Now, if we look at our other fusion monsters, so first we got Dark Cavalry. Now, since we got Alistair and Invocation, we're also running Invoked Purgatrio, which we can very easily summon. Blazeman fits the fire monster, so even if we have a King of the Swamp and a Blazeman, we can still summon Purgatrio. Because King of the Swamp can be the Alistair. We have Red Eyes Slash Dragon here. The Red Eyes is replaced with a fusion substitute. This guy is a warrior. We have Millennium Eyes Restrict, which requires a relinquished and an effect monster. All of these are effect monsters, so we just need 1 substitute for the relinquished, and this guy is going to be able to suck up people, anything annoying on the other side that you don't want to deal with. You just suck them up, you negate their effects. Like if they activate their effect, you negate it by sucking them up. And then also monsters with that equipped monster's name cannot attack. Also, their effects on the field and their activated effects are negated. So say someone's using a deck where, like Element Sabers for example, where they have a Molehue, you suck up their Molehue, they summon a second Molehue, that second Molehue can't do anything because you sucked up the first one. And then finally we got Cocytus, the all-powerful, requires Alistair and a water monster, can't be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent can't target this card with card effects, and he just sits in defense mode and attacks while he's in defense mode. He's very annoying, and we can very easily summon him. So alongside our Dark Cavalry, any of these could easily change the game, make it so our opponent can't win, stall long enough for us to summon a Dark Cavalry and just win. So that's the deck. We're going to go ahead and get into ranked. I wanted to go to the deck editor just so we could talk about some other cards, but they now changed this whole screen here so you can actually see your deck before you're going to duel, which I think is useful because a lot of times you would click the duel button and there would be no indication as to what deck you were actually going into the duel with. So I think it's good. This is a good change. You can see the deck that you have in front of you, the ability, the character, everything. Good update. But we're going to go ahead and get into it now. Again, we're back at Gold 1. So we're going to have to make up some lost time, and the month is about to end again. So I don't think we're going to get to KOG before this month ends. Also, it doesn't matter how many cards you play in your deck. I don't have sleeves or anything. Because my monster cards is going to guarantee these first 3, do we want to summon Blazeman? What do we want to go first? We could just go Cocytus. It's a tough one. I think we don't summon Blazeman and we just Polymerization. Summon Cocytus. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll use these 2 guys. Let us summon a Cocytus. Since we're going first, we can't really do that much. So now, if we draw another monster, then Blazeman can easily help us summon... Is this guy just surrendering immediately? A lot of decks have no solution to Cocytus, which is why he's so annoying. Yeah, this guy immediately scooped upon seeing the Cocytus. Alrighty. And that's why I think this deck is even funnier. Just the fact that it can summon Cocytus, one of the infamously annoying monsters, so easily. It's effortless. And we were saving a follow-up play with Blazeman. We could summon him, get another Polymerization, and if we drew a Fusion Substitute, it was a Cavalry. This deck is, as I said in the beginning, Degenerate. You don't have to do anything. It's just annoying and looks really stupid, but it works amazingly well. I really should get some sleeves and stuff going. Alright, so what do we do in this one? This time we don't have a Polymerization. I think we'll keep Fusion Reserve in our hand. We'll go ahead, add a Polymerization. Now, should we summon Cocytus again, or should we... I think we wait on the Cocytus this time. So let's go ahead, summon Cavalry. And we'll use you, and we don't want Blazeman on the field anymore, so we'll go ahead and get rid of the Blazeman. Now we could put down Fusion Reserve, which actually might be a good idea. Yeah, we'll put down Fusion Reserve. So we only have 1 negate at the moment, because Dark Cavalry requires us to have 1 card in our hand every time we want to negate, and we have to discard it. Can we actually use Fusion Reserve now that I think about it? Because we don't have Alistair at the moment. So we need Alistair. Oh, we can. Well, let's go ahead and activate Fusion Reserve. Oh, we get to add it from our deck. Man, did I not read Fusion Reserve correctly? Add 1 fusion specifically listed from your deck, and then okay. That's cool. And we will. What are we doing with this one? So I guess we'll reveal Purgatrio. Yeah. Alright, give us Polymerization. So now we can summon Cocytus as well. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, and there's an Invocation as well. So we can actually just use Invocation, summon Cocytus. Which is... We don't have to, do we? We can just attack with Cavalry. Might not be enough, though. We should probably summon Cocytus. No, we don't want to do that. So let's go ahead, summon Cocytus. We will use you. And we'll go ahead and use you. I I guess we probably... That's not how you're supposed to do that. I've never played Invoker before. You're supposed to summon it first so it gets banished. That's a thing, I suppose. Alright, we're gonna save this polymerization. I feel like this duel is pretty over. Alrighty then. It is not quite over. He gets to survive a little bit longer. What do you do? Well, we're just gonna negate that, obviously. And that'll actually destroy that, so then we can just attack the other one. Alright, so yeah, we just need to make sure we use our Invoker correctly. You don't want to just use the Invocation and discard the Invoker from your hand, because if we banish him from the field to summon Cocytus, then we get to add it back to our hand by activating Invocation's effect in the graveyard. So we want to make sure we do that, because in our, Invoker, or Alistair, in our hand, can boost any of our fusion monsters. And we're already on a roll. Like, people just don't have answers to this deck. It's so dumb. Cavalry just sits there and negates everything. Plus it's gigantic, and you usually summon it turn 1, so it's really annoying. Cocytus, just, you can't deal with it unless you got specific answers in your deck. And we're already about to rank up. Plus the fact that we're just running a 26 card deck is even worse. So this hand looks kind of bad, but we can still summon Cavalry with it. Wait, we cannot summon Cavalry with it. I lied. Don't listen to me. We need one of our fusion substitutes. The chance of this happening is very unlikely, unfortunately. Where you just get all 3 Blazeman. Invocation. We can't use that. Well, it's Seto Kaiba, so this is probably Blue Eyes. Which means I don't really want to attack. So I'm just going to end my turn. I think the numbers behind this deck, I think you have about like an 80, maybe higher, 80% chance to summon Cavalry first turn. So there is a chance that you don't accomplish that goal, but it's not that high. Now, the problem with running such a big deck, I'm going to kill this because he set this second, so it must be less important. Exploder Dragon. This is going to kill my thing, right? Yep. I mean, that's fine. We might want to run a 20 card deck just so we have a higher chance of getting one of our fusion substitutes later on if it doesn't happen right away. But again, it doesn't really matter that much. If we just draw one of the fusion substitutes, I think we still win this duel. Now, what are you summoning? A Blue Eyes? Oh no, that's really bad. He just happened to have Spirit of White in his hand? That's not good. Alright, well at least we don't have a monster, so he can't summon Blue Eyes at the moment. Okay, there is one of our fusion substitutes. So, how do we want to do this? Do we just want to go straight polymerization? Or do we want to go invocation? I think we save the invocation. And let's just go polymerization. If he has a negate, that would be a problem. But now we summon Dark Cavalry. And you can see our Dark Cavalry is pretty strong. And we can raise him to 5,400 this turn. Which means if this thing has less than 1400 defense, we can win right now, which is why I'm going to attack it, because I think this is a White Stone of Legend. Enemy controller. Alright, that targets, so obviously we can negate. And we'll get rid of, I think, Blazeman. Now, Concentrating Current, what do you do? Target, it cannot attack. Okay, well, we can negate that as well. We'll have to get rid of our invocation. And then, nope, we don't want to chain. We wait till the damage step to activate Concentrating Current. And now we activate Concentrating Current and we win. Boom! Oh, it's called White Stone of the Ancients. I think the other one is called White Stone of Legend. I always forget which one's which. Who cares? They're both like little eggs. But there you can see the combo. We just negate everything. He doesn't get to play the game. And then we win. And you can see every time he activated a spell or trap card, well, I guess in that case, because they were already on the field, Cavalry also gets the attack of them being on the field. But like, as he uses more cards to protect himself, we get more power. Until we just one-shot someone like that. Which is why I think you should run 2 Concentrating Currents no matter what, probably. Because if you can draw one, then you probably just have lethal off of a single attack. So if you have them, I would recommend running 2. There's also a whole bunch of defensive options. If you don't have them, you could run like World Legacy Clash. Also very good. Who do we want to summon here? Would we want to summon Blazeman, or would we want to summon Alistair? I guess it depends on what Ishizu does. She has 1 card in her extra deck. It's pretty impressive. I actually kind of really like that mat. I was thinking about getting that mat. I just always, whenever I make a new deck, I just forget to put mats on it. I have some pretty cool mats for what it's worth. What do you even do? Once per turn, you can target a total of 3... What did you summon? Who are you? And... okay. And then, so he's going to take 0 battle damage. This is kind of problematic, huh? Do I want to summon Alistair and summon something like Cocytus? Or do I just want to summon Cavalry? I think I just want to summon Cavalry. Because unfortunately we can't do damage over his monsters while that Sanctuary is up. We could suck up his monster. But I think Cavalry's gonna be better. Now, do we want to put down the Floodgate? I think no. We'll just keep it in our hand as discard fodder. And that's the other great thing about Cavalry. If we're constantly discarding spells and traps, he's constantly getting stronger. Now, we need this guy to stop playing monsters, because we can't do damage to him as long as he has monsters on the field. And he's obviously playing counter fairies. But I don't think counter fairies have that many monster cards. And he's already summoned 2 and he's got no monsters in his hand anymore. So unless he just rips into a monster, he's gonna start having some problems. Alright, what does Fairy Smile do? If you Normal draw fairy type monster card during... Oh wow, that's actually pretty strong. So he's gonna keep getting life every single time that he draws a normal fairy. So once he gets rid of all the fairies, we can just one-shot him. But until then, we can't do a whole lot. Well, maybe we can one-shot him. He might have a counter trap. He's gonna end his turn. So, we could also go with Alistair here, but I think we just wait. We try and kill him and see what happens. So let's go battle phase. We'll go here, and then we'll activate Concentrating Current first, because this is the lethal play. So he'll negate that. And then I think we'll just leave it as is. We maybe could have gotten him to negate Invocation if we instead went with an Alistair play. Jesus. That ability seems really annoying. We're fine. This person's going to take us a little bit longer to beat, but I don't think they can actually beat us. What do you do? I assume this card targets? So I don't think he can actually destroy Cavalry with it. So I think next turn we're going to try and summon Cocytus, because that'll mean that we actually have lethal. And we're going to try and do it correctly this time. We'll summon Alistair, then we'll use Invocation, and then we'll activate the Invocation to bring Alistair back to our hand. Ooh. Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. That's fine. So we'll go ahead, summon Alistair. He doesn't get to search though, but you want to summon him anyways, because then we use Invocation. And we'll go ahead, summon Cocytus. So we use Alistair. I didn't realize we couldn't use both hand and field or graveyard. So this lets us shuffle the Invocation back into our deck and add Alistair to our hand. So now we have lethal. And we just go ahead and go battle. Kill his card. Again, we don't get damage on it, but then here, once we enter the damage step, we just discard Alistair. Boost Cocytus, and that's lethal. It's working well. This deck is actually pretty good. Pretty crazy good for what it is. I don't know, I feel like I don't like the deck just because it makes use of like really stupid monsters in like a pretty cheesy way. But you can't deny these results. Like, it's been very difficult for anyone to deal with what we've done, except for that one duel where we started with 3 Blazemans and couldn't actually do anything. But I think a skill like My Monster Cards is just gonna make stuff like this possible. Where you have a really stupid looking deck that is just way more consistent than like some of the best decks. We open up Blazeman so often because we run 3 of them. So each of these cards has, well, we have 3 and 5 other monsters, so 3 out of 8. Each of those cards has a 3 out of 8 chance of being Blazeman. Do we want to set the wall of disruption is the real question. I feel like the answer is probably no. Do we want to do the one on the field? Yeah, we want to do the one on the field, save as much hand fodder as possible. I think we set this. I guess he doesn't have an extra deck. But like in the case where he summons his own cavalry, then it could become an issue. Especially if he has something like Concentrating Current. I guess we could negate the Concentrating Current. I'm trying to think. Where would it be a bad situation to keep the Wall of Disruption in our hand? I feel like the negate is almost always better, actually. Did he just quit immediately as well? Nope, he's still going for it. Come on, Odeon. Can you deal with the cavalry, or is this game over? But yeah, with the... because we have a 3 of 8 chance to have Blaze Man in each of those starting cards. So 3 times. And then we also can search a Polymerization if we get a King of the Swamps as one of them. So that's 4 of 8 where we have a ability to search a Polymerization. And then Alistair searches Invocation. So that's 5 of 8 that search a Polymerization for us. So unless we got all 3 Blazemans, or 2 Blazemans and an Alistair, or the 3 fusion substitutes that can't search for Polymerization, then we can make Cavalry. He's just making us more powerful than he could ever understand. There's an Invocation. We're just going to save it as discard fodder, and we're going to start going in. What do you got? It's going to be something, going to need to be something that doesn't target. What are you? Returns to its owner's hand. What do you do? Target one phase up monster. Equip that it gains 500 attack. If the equipped monster attacks or is attacked while in defense position, it gains defense equal to its attack. We probably don't want that, right? Because then he survives. So we're going to ditch our Invocation. That's unfortunate, though. So now we got a slight problem. He had... because this thing doesn't target. A monster that attacks this card returns to its owner's hand. That doesn't target. So, we ended up not being able to stop that from happening. I don't really want to play Blazeman at the moment. Until we have a fusion substitute. This is a really annoying deck. I might even say that it has the chance to be a counter to the deck we are currently playing. We're gonna allow that. We need to be careful though, because he does burn us. He's playing around Wall of Disruption pretty well. I feel like we can still take that. If he summons another monster is when I'm gonna Wall of Disruption. So, what do you all do? He has some pretty annoying cards, huh? While this card... Alright, so we probably just want to summon Cavalry again. And I think we can probably win with Cavalry. Because I think this guy over there doesn't actually return us to the hand. Plus we'll have enough attack either way. So killing this guy should finish him off. We could have attacked any of them. It just would, like, if he somehow could have negated the damage, then it would have left our cavalry, like, going back to our hand or being destroyed. So I attacked the one that wouldn't do that. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this one. This cavalry deck seems kind of fun to use. As stupid as it looks. So we'll probably use a little bit more of the cavalry deck. There are some other decks that I'm also working on, but they take so much investment that I'm just like slowly grinding my way through the boxes. And you can see I still have a whole bunch of gems because, like, if you look at the box release schedule, there's got to be another box in like the next 3 to 4 days. So I kind of want to know what the next box is before I go too in on any of the older boxes. So, yeah, and I'm also partially waiting on the ban list. Now that this KC Cup has ended, there's going to be another KC Cup in like a month and a half. A little bit less than a month and a half. So they're probably going to release a ban list based on what they saw in this current KC Cup. So I don't want to build a deck that's going to get banned out or be really bad. I just, like, the smartest way to do things is to bide your time, wait, and then build the thing that you really want to build that's actually going to be useful for you, and not just build it right before it gets nerfed or something stupid. This cavalry deck might need to be nerfed, though. It's pretty funny. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed this one. Go out, play this deck. It looks really expensive, but trust me, you can play whatever the heck you want for this back row. All you need is polymerization, some Blazemans. You get Blazemans from the structure deck. You don't need this King of the Swamp. These, you can find fusion substitutes that aren't high rarity. They're there. Anything that you can use to protect your cavalry, and just go ham. Cavalry's from a structure deck as well. So you need polymerization, Blazeman, and cavalry, and then just make a degenerate deck. Go forth and destroy. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.